Hopefully this is the final episode of the front clip mounting. I'm going to repair this rather large rust hole here, or I'm going to attempt to repair it, I should say. I got this patch panel from LMC truck. It doesn't look too awful, made in Taiwan, but the truck doesn't have too many holes in it. It's relatively solid except for a couple spots, so I think I'm going to try and fix that. Let's give that a shot. Oh, that didn't come out too awful. I just got some self-etching primer thrown on there for now. I know with all the shadows and stuff, can't really judge it, but there's no Bondo or anything, just ground down the welds and all look good. It kind of matched the rest of the truck, for better or for worse. I didn't figure I needed to show how to do a patch panel. There's a lot of videos on YouTube of guys that are better than I am. So if you want to know how to do a patch panel, you can watch those videos. Alright, so that's done. So I think I'm winding down on the front clip here. So what I'm going to try to do is show you all the pieces as I'm putting it together, as each piece goes on. Hopefully that won't take too long. These little pieces here I made. They go right in this tab. That's like on a flange, that flange weld that you barely see with the lighting. But I put 8 or 10 holes. I'm using 1032 screws and put them on there, and that's my new steel inner fender walls will hook to those. And these are grounding lugs I put on before I painted. I think that's out of the way. I'll probably take a 1/4-20 tap on 1 or 2 of these holes and just run the tap through the hole and use a couple 1/4-20 screws just to make sure I got a good electrical current through there. But this one's for the other side. So I'll go ahead and get those on, and then I'll show you the next piece, or pieces. Here's the driver's side, all mounted up. And then the one on the passenger side. And this radius right here kind of just comes close to that plastic inner fender wall. And then I added tabs on both sides to go out to the fenders and the inner fender wall down low to add some support to that. And this monstrosity is the core support. I know you've seen some of this in previous episodes, but pretty much got everything on it now. This is the next thing to go on. I know with the shadows it's probably really hard to see, but it's got the battery box there, obviously, and the fuse box, under hood mount. This goes to the inner fender. There's a ground lug there. This is for to run the wire across. That has to go over to the ECU. And then there's a tab underneath here for zip tie for that. That crossbar in front with the supports that grow up to where the hood latch is. That bar is for the inner fender. Down below, this is for the airbox, the hole for the airbox, hood latch, wires to the headlight on the driver's side and turn signal. The passenger side will go through that egg-shaped hole along with the horn. And let's see, around on the front, you got the bump out for the airbox. And then this is for the hood latch cable, and the hood latch mounts there now. And then I've repaired those areas down below where the stone guard goes. That was all rusted out. So other than that, the core support is stock. It had quite a few alterations. You can see the battery box, the angle for the battery box kind of pops out right there. So yeah, we'll put this on, get the fenders on. So the front fenders are on. Core support's in there. It's all just kind of loosely bolted together. There's the patch panel. So the next thing I think I'll put on is this piece, the upper grill, if that's what it's called. The thing I really had to do to this was just add this little notch for the Crown Vic hood release. So that's on. The hood latch is next. This bracket I made for it. So that's on. Now for the stone guard, which looks like it's been through a skirmish of some type with a battleship. But I kind of got it halfway straight. It was a lot worse than this, if you can imagine that, but good enough for this truck. And the grill is next. These are the spots where I repaired the rust for the stone guard. They had a different shape in there. I kind of made it simpler so I could repair it with less effort. Because I'm lazy like that. But, oh, I forgot there's some little pieces that go right there. Where'd they go? Right there. So I take that back. Those are next. Got those in. Before I put the grill in, this is the bump out I did to use the stock Crown Vic airbox. And before I get a bunch of comments saying, oh, you just should have put a K&N on there and it would have saved all that hassle. I know, you're right, I agree. Would have been a lot faster to just use the K&N filter and not use the stock airbox, but that's where I was kind of going with this truck, is to just use as much of the Crown Vic stuff as I could. So that was my decision there. So on your truck, if you feel like I should have used a K&N, you can use a K&N. And the grill's bolted in. And then next step is bolting these in. These would be the upper inner fender, well, fender support chingamadeiros, I guess, I don't know. This bolts on those little plates that I bolted on that pinch weld, international sign from pinch weld. This is all that I'm using off the original inner fender walls from the truck, which was kind of a shame. It just kind of worked out that way. And then this is the passenger side. There's a couple tabs bolts on by the battery box. This is the driver's side. It looks kind of the same. I've got some holes in to bolt them to the inner fender walls. I gotta make those brackets yet. And then that goes up to the front on the driver's side. And there's a little piece I made that bolts down, goes on these two holes, goes down, covers up a hole. The inner fender wall goes here. And then that series of bolts, that's where the fenders, that bolts back in the fenders. And I added one because these were really bending down, so I added an extra bolt there. So I'll put those in. Okay, those are in. Bolt down there, across the top of the fender, all the way to there, and then that bolt popping through the front. And then this one, same back there, up through there, and they bolt in down there. The battery box are both prime gray, so it's kind of hard to tell them apart, but there's two bolts into that. Next step is those two little brackets, and they're the brackets that go down to from the front of the cab to the fender, just to keep the fender from moving around. Again, I don't know if I needed them. Those holes there, it's not really strong down there, so it won't hurt to have something on there for speeds over 100. So those are down there, both sides. This is next, and it goes in the inner fender wall on the back mounting hole. There's one for the other side too. Actually, I didn't mention, but they go right there. The one thing I keep forgetting to mention, on these brackets that kind of look the same, because I plan to take this all apart and throw some probably black paint on this stuff. But on the brackets that kind of look the same on passenger side, driver side, I just put a couple little holes on everything that's on the driver's side to help sort it out later. I'm over 50 and my memory isn't what it used to be, so that'll help me out there. So it's Saturday, March 10th, 2018. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Will today be the day I finish the front clip mounting? Probably not, the way things go. Got up early this morning, had some coffee, watched a couple episodes of Carlson's Customs, which is another YouTube channel. That was my garage door. He's doing a 1972 F-100. He hasn't posted a video in a while. I don't know if he's just taking a break or if he gave up on it and scrapped it. I don't know, but he'll probably finish it this summer, I assume. But last night I got the Crown Vic wheel wells mounted in. Hopefully this will be the second to last time. Just gonna take this apart one more time and paint it. So they're mounted up. There's just a couple more. This one has a bracket for the front. And then I also added down here, can't see it, but I put a little bracket on that tab that I had welded on both sides to support the bottom of that. It's looking pretty good. You have to take my word for it because of the shadows, but all right, next bracket. Down underneath the battery, this bracket here goes on that fender tab right there, and then it goes up to there, and then I just need to drill a hole, put a bolt through this, and that'll support that and this. That's the bracket that runs down to the driver's side front fender on the corner. I know it's very dark, but that's in position. This little filler panel goes down in this hole here on the driver's side in the front corner just to patch that little hole there. It's out of the truck inner fender wall. So I did reuse some of that metal. Washer tank. I'm really not crazy about how high this is here, but I would have either had to cut this out, which I could have done, or cut into the fender. So I just made the brackets bolt on. If it really annoys me at some later date, I can get a different tank or do something different. But for right now, I just made those brackets, so it all just bolts on. But it should be functional. Shot, so it sticks up like that much. But it should work, and when the hood's closed, you won't see it. ECU right back on the fender wall where it was. And those ground lugs that I added are back there. I know there's a ground that's very important that goes with the ECU. There's where my air intake is. Kind of behind the headlight. Down there. That's the hood release cable. And then the stock air box. It's kind of hard to get to the front bolt to tighten it down, but hopefully I don't have to take that out too many times. So that's that side under the hood. I'll put this other side together. And that's the distribution mount and battery. And then I probably can't see if there's the clamps down in there, so it's not going anywhere. So that's everything under the hood. So that just leaves the bumper. Let's take a look at that next. I actually need to build those brackets. I'm adding 5 2.5 inch holes on the bumper because the bumper now covers up the transmission cooler and the power steering cooler. So I don't know how much it will help, if any, but they had totally blocked off, and I've just rebuilt the transmission in this, so I kind of don't want to get it too hot. So that was my thought on this. Bumper brackets are done. Let's see if they fit now that I've tacked them in position, then taken them out and welded them. Also on all these brackets, especially like these bumper brackets, when I made them, the holes, I drill everything the same size as the bolt. Like these are 3/8 bolts. So I drill the holes 3/8, this 1/2 inch, and then I do the mock-up. And then after it's all welded together, I'll come back and open up that, generally like a 32nd or 16th for these bolts for the clearance. And that way you tack it together, and if it moves a little bit, opening up those holes should let it fit. So there's a bumper with the air holes and a 65 license plate. It says Winter Wonderland, which is a little bit ironic, as much complaining as I've done about the snow this winter. But I kind of like how that came out. Hopefully that'll keep that power steering cooler, transmission cooler cool enough. Front clip list is finally done. Let's see, I need to spin this around and get Big Ben back out so we can do the bed. There we go. So I nosed her outside so we could get a look at her and what's left of the daylight. Still sitting on the wheel dollies, but once she's down on the ground, she should have a nice stance. Won't be low as some, but I think I like it. Anyway, that's the end of episode 13. Front clip mounting part 4. Time to get the box done. Thanks for watching.